Here, I've opened the Java code sheet document from the exercises folder. This is a clean document, not the template that we've been working on in earlier movies in this chapter. So if I go to the window menu and choose tags, you can see that it's pretty much empty. Nothing up our sleeves here. We've been given the task of exporting this content as XML. I want to be clear that in general, I recommend having InDesign be a container for receiving XML rather than a source for exporting XML. It's cleaner to start with your XML outside of InDesign and then just drop it into an InDesign template, as we've been seeing in the last few movies. But if you do need to get your content out of a document, here's what you can do. First, we need to tell InDesign about the structure of your document, pointing out what content we want to export. So I open the Tags panel, and I'm going to double-click on Root to change its name to Brochure. I just happen to know that that is the name of the root element in the XML we're trying to create. I'm going to import more tags, as we saw in an earlier movie, by using load tags from the flyout menu. And I'll just grab one of these XML files that has tags in them, so it populates the Tags panel. I'll quickly go in and apply the tags as we've been seeing in previous movies. Those are images, these are text, this is our story, and so on. But I want to point out that when we do this, the entire story has only gotten one tag. And that's a problem if there's multiple paragraph styles within here, or character styles. I'm going to zoom in here to 200% by pressing Command 2 on the Mac or Control 2 on Windows, and we can see that we have multiple paragraphs and character styles within those paragraphs. However, if we look at our structure view, go to the View menu, choose Structure, and then Show Structure, we can see that inside our structure, we only have one story. We need to tag the rest of this, and the way we're going to do that is by using the Tags panel's Map Styles to Tags. In earlier movies, we looked at map tags to styles, but now we're trying to map the styles that are inside this document currently to tags that we're trying to export. So I'll open this up and I'll look through here. On the left side, we see all the paragraph styles and character styles in this document. On the right, we can see what they're mapped to. So for example, I'll map my body text to the para tag inside the XML. I'll come down here and I'll say, if there's any bullets, why don't we go ahead? Oh, I don't have any bullet tag in here. Oops, so well, we could do that later. There's no bullets in this document anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. Let's go down to the French character style. We want to map that to the French tag in our XML. Now you can see that if you had a lot of these paragraph styles and a lot of tags, it would be helpful if they were named exactly the same so that we could use the Map by Name button. But in this case, we're just going to do it one at a time and then click OK. If we move this out of the way a little bit, we can see that there are these brackets, colored brackets around the text inside this text frame. That means that this chunk of text has been tagged with the French style. You see that's kind of pink, and French is kind of pink. I guess it's purple down here. Also, each of these paragraphs has been given a style as well. And if we look inside the story structure, we can see that each one of these has been given a para, and then if we twirl out this one, we see that inside this paragraph, there is the French tag. Because these brackets are kind of hard to see, I want to point out that you can see the tags inside of a text story much easier by going to the Edit menu and choosing Edit in Story Editor. Here, it's really obvious where the tags are. There's our French tag text here. We can even come in here and select some text and click on French, and you can see that it adds the tags right in the story. I'm going to undo that because that's, of course, not French. Command Z on the Mac or Control Z on Windows to go back to where we were. I'll close the story editor, and now it's time to export the XML. So I'll click on the element that I want to export, and I'll go to Export XML. And I can do that by going to the File menu and choosing Export, and then choosing XML down here, or I'll cancel that, or I can simply choose from the Structure Flyout menu, Export XML. Both of those do the same thing. I'll click Save, and we can see the Export XML options dialog box here. Now let me go through a few of these quickly. First, I'm going to say View my XML after it's exported using some application. And you can choose any of your applications, Notepad on Windows or whatever. I'm going to open it in Dreamweaver. And of course, that's optional. You don't have to look at the XML. But of course, in this demo, we want to see that. export from selected elements. If I had chosen one of these elements inside of our structure view, then I could export that one element. In this case, I'm getting the entire document, so I'm not going to worry about that. It's probably a good idea if you do have tables in your document and if you haven't tagged them properly to export them as cals, but we don't have to worry about that in this document. Now, InDesign does tend to add some weird characters when you export the XML, so it's a good idea to remap all of your break characters and so on to proper XML characters, so I do like turning that on. As I mentioned in the last movie, an XSLT is a way to transform your XML into some other format. So for example, you could even have an XSLT that would transform your outgoing XML into HTML, just right by turning this on and choosing the proper XSLT. Well, we don't have that here, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's look at the Images tab for a moment. If you have tagged images in your structure, you need to tell InDesign what you want to do with those images. And you have various options here. Original images means grab all of the original images, the files that we've linked to on disk, and put them into a folder. That's kind of like a package feature, but it'll only package the images that you've used here. Optimized original images means grab the original images, but save them as a JPEG or a GIF file, which I'm not sure why you'd want to do that, but I suppose it's nice that they give you the option. Optimized formatted images is kind of interesting. This will actually grab the original images, scale them down, rotate them, crop them so they look just like they do on your page, and then convert them to GIF or JPEG. And that could be useful in some workflows, but in general, I don't like having InDesign do my conversion to GIF or JPEG for the web. I just think that's, I don't have any real control here. It's very, very basic. I'd rather use Photoshop or Fireworks or something like that to do the conversion. So I don't turn this on. On the other hand, if you have like 100 pages a day that you need to export as XML and get it up on a website, well, then that might be useful for you to have optimized formatted images turned on. I'm going to just turn all of these off and go ahead and click Export. InDesign exports the XML and opens it in the application we asked it to, which is Dreamweaver. I've made the text really large here so that you can see it easily on screen. But you can see that the XML is written out here, the headings have all been tagged with the proper tags, and the text is in here, the images are in here with proper hrefs, and so on. If I scroll down here, we'll see our French text as well has been tagged properly. Now, just because I've exported XML successfully from InDesign doesn't mean I can turn around and re-import it back into InDesign. That's called round-tripping. And while it is possible to round-trip your XML in some situations, I have to tell you that in most cases, it won't work right without some significant massaging. In fact, in general, you should probably expect to do some cleanup of InDesign's XML files, whether this is headed to the web or to a database or back into some other InDesign template. Nevertheless, the ability to get XML out of InDesign can be incredibly useful, especially in a fast-paced production environment where you need to repurpose your content every day.